Ladies and gentlemen and everyone, this is the podcast I've been waiting for I don't know how many years now it's been. When did this film? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? I don't know. Time doesn't have any meaning anymore.
A while back.
But this is officially the podcast where we can introduce to you the winner of Survivor Michigan All-Stars, Samuel Morris, everybody.
Wow.
Can we get a round of applause?
Thank you.
I still can't believe you won.
Can't either.
I still thought that like there was some like high level trolling that because I wasn't actually there at the finale, that like everybody's been convincing me that Sam Morris won for years, and it's like wasn't true. And, like Leo was gonna win somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that would be a pretty great troll for it to have been kept up for this long. It almost would have been as unexpected as me winning, to be honest.
Yeah. I think that's why I still kind of believed that it could be a troll, because like especially like how the season started and everything, and how every other episode, not just the start of the season, but how many times you found yourself in the shit and had to dig yourself out of it. Just like bravo. I think I can officially say now that I am the worst survivor of the three, because I have up on the video. We have who many people say is the best college survivor player ever to not win, right down there. Damn. We have the winner of All-Stars. Then we just have fucking me. Like I don't know how I got invited on here.
Stop.
You voted me out, so
You have found more idols than both of us combined.
True. I've wasted more idols than both of you combined.
Yeah, no, it's funny. One of the questions that somebody had asked me is like, oh, like, do you hold your win over like Jack and Sarah? And I was just like, no, I really don't, because both of them voted me off. So there's only so much I can say.
That's true. Yeah. In fact, I'm just glad you won because it's a better look for us. I'm just kidding. That's the only reason why I care that you won, because it makes me look better. So
yeah, there's only 4 people in the history of Survivor Michigan who have voted Sam Morris off. Me, Sarah, Mike, and Mallory.
Wait, that's actually so true. Wow. We will hold that against you for sure.
Yeah. I'd say we're at least even.
Mm-hmm.
The very worst. Yeah, no, it is funny, like having to, hold that back for all this time. I feel like I did a decent job of not spoiling it. I mean, people didn't really see it coming. I didn't see it coming. We're still not sure whether it's real or maybe it's been like a doctored video. The deepfakes and AI is getting pretty good these days. So maybe you're right. Maybe it is all just like a big scam. Leia won. You never know. You never know.
I know. I saw a TikTok the other day of Kanye singing like a Taylor Swift song that seemed really real. So.
Yeah, and I think if you count all of the legal votes, Leia won bigly. So, I think there's been a lot of illegal votes.
Yeah.
So,
Gotta like check the machines.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure they aren't being tampered with.
No, but like, yeah, I feel like we've done a good job. I don't know. I feel like the people who are like who are listening to all these podcasts, I don't think any of them were like thinking that you were going to win based on, comments and everything. So I feel like we did a good job. Hopefully no one got spoiled from us.
I saw so many like, there's no way Sam wins. Like, I don't think a lot of people predicted up until the very end that you would be the winner of All-Stars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
I was just like, wait until they see.
I know it was an uphill battle, but I guess I only have myself to blame for that. You send a text to the wrong chat, and now you have to make up for it the whole season. But worked out.
And I saw that you're playing in the Survivor Michigan versus OSU tournament.
Oh yeah.
I was just about to ask, like, are you gonna like retire basically after this All-Stars win, or have you been playing like a little Survivor games after that still?
I haven't really done much in a few years at this point now, but I don't know. It's just like a fun like 1-day game. It's whatever. See what happens. Just for fun.
When did you do Voyage? Was that after or before?
Oh yeah, that was before. After
that helped you train.
The only season I've done since All Stars was season 7.5.
Classic season.
Yeah. expected that one too. No spoilers. Maybe one day.
Yeah, y'all are gonna have to wait for the YouTube recap of that one.
Yeah, maybe one day. But yeah, for the most part, I haven't really done any Survivor like playing since then. It took a lot out of me. It's very tiring, as you can see. I'm sure you saw, but yeah, it's funny. Like it still feels like not entirely real. I was like, maybe when the votes are read, it's like, okay, like will it feel real now? A few weeks later, like no, it still didn't feel real. You're watching it, like, oh, maybe when I watch it back, like watch it on YouTube, it'll feel like real at that point. But honestly, like, I don't know, it's still a little bit surreal.
What was the prize? Was there a prize?
Yeah, has the $1 million like been deposited yet?
$1 million. It was a fraction of $1 million, definitely. Yeah, maybe take some zeros off, so it's not 100. But 100 is better than nothing. It was nice.
Yeah.
It was kind of like usually winners got $50, so it's kind of like winners at war when they like double it like from 1 million. To 2 million. Like the Michigan version was like, oh, we're gonna go from 50 to 100, like
wow,
big real stars, big jackpot, an extra $50.
That's crazy.
You can get to it.
Yeah. Exactly. So,
what would you spend that $100 on? Did you gamble it in Vegas? Hey guys, how was Vegas? I haven't talked to you guys.
Oh my
since
god,
Vegas.
yeah, wait, Vegas was so fun. It was the finale night was like emotional for a lot of people. But the pre-finale stuff was all fun and games, literally.
It was a lot of fun.
Wait, did you end up in the casinos, Sam, or did you lose?
I think I broke even, basically.
Oh, okay, not terrible.
Okay, we respect it.
Yeah.
What about you, Sarah?
I was
to watch the vlog.
I was up, but you have to watch the how much I spent video to see how much I won.
What were your games?
Okay, so blackjack was my big money winner. Like I started that down like negative, and I ended like up like a lot. But craps I think is like one of the more fun ones. I think when it's like really going well.
Mm-hmm.
And then roulette's just scary. Like roulette just freaks me out. But if you want to like quick double your money and put on like black or red, that's the way to do it.
Or you just want to quick lose your money,
Roulette.
Yeah, whatever.
I was doing roulette. It was like me, Ian, and Crouch, and then Crouch was like me and Ian were doing all the same bets as each other, and Crouch was like betting the opposite of us. Or like, dude, like that's bad luck. Like you shouldn't be betting the opposite of us. He's like, no, like you guys are idiots. Like, well, I'm gonna do this. And then like he just like instantly lost like 5 or 6 of them in a row, like lost all this money. And then me and Ian like won every single time and like went way up. We're like, wow, Crouch, like you really should have just bet with us. Like you would have made so much money. That's what happens. Yeah,
I think Crouch doesn't have very good odds when he's like selecting something, right? I feel like he has kind of bad history with that.
He has bad luck with that. Mm-hmm. It's better if he just like, I don't know, he just has like bad luck with anything that has to do with odds.
Like a chance. Yeah.
Poor Crouch. It was funny like watching the finale too and like seeing people watch themselves on the screen, like seeing Bree watch her confessionals, seeing Nick ask his question. I like seeing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kevin like laughing at himself, like saying things. Yeah. It was definitely emotional for me. I mean, like, and maybe some of you have watched the after show, live after show. It's on the Michigan channel. The original plan was that I was supposed to like come out there right after the finale and like talk at the after show. But like, I was like just in tears after watching the whole thing, like after the episode ended. Like, I was so like, honestly, I was like, crying for a while, like longer than I thought I would be, like long enough that like I was like, am I gonna be able to compose myself and go on this like live after show? So it took a bit, and it's like it's funny because I had seen like a previous version of the finale already, and it hadn't really emotionally hit me at all. I think it was, for one, it was like the credit scene at the end. I'd never seen that, kind of like showing everybody, and then also just the weight of knowing that like it's all done. It's all out there. I think people there kind of thought it was like, oh, is it like Sam's like just like happy he won, or is it about like the victory? And it's like it wasn't about that. It was just about like it felt like a very big moment to have it it's like it's all aired, like it's all done. The whole era, like all the work that led up to it over all these years, like it's done, and that was like the moment where it was done. Like as the credits flashed, like that was the end, and that to me was very powerful.
And you've put in a lot of work to this, like probably, second or third to, Ian, in terms of just like raw hours of like people who've worked on these past few seasons. So like it's you deserve to have a good cry,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, Sam helps with a lot of storyboarding and summarizing of all the seasons, which takes up a lot of work. So there's a lot of footage.
Which, like, you would think that you would give yourself a better edit, Like...
Yeah, right. No, it's to give a background on that. I'm actually so as Ian mentioned, the Survivor Michigan account tweeted out a bit ago. There's a post-episode poll where the audience could ask whatever questions they wanted for any of the finalists, and like those are what some of the questions that we're asking in these. And one of them was about this exact topic. Essentially, it said like, kind of what was your involvement in post-production, the series as a whole? Something you picked up because you knew you'd be helping shape your own winner story. Did you have certain scenes and episodes from the series that you knew you wanted to help Ian with, or is it more of a general interest in helping the club out when it was needed? So just to give a rundown on how everything went. After season 2, I was just like instantly like, okay, like I want to see this season come out. Like I'm very passionate and excited about helping on the editing side of things. At that time, like season 1 had not come out yet. Like there was like no episodes of Survivor Michigan existed like on the internet. And we all knew that George was only going to do one season. It was kind of like up in the air what would happen after that. And Ian, we knew he was going to be editing at least like season 2, but Ian had never seen an episode of Survivor before. Like he was like very famously, he would be like, yeah, guys, like, this is so funny. Like never even seen Survivor, like not even going to watch the show. It's only Survivor Michigan. And so it made sense to have other people like helping on the editing team that like, knew a lot about Survivor. So me and Cooper were kind of the main people that did a lot of the work for season 2. And it really just came out of a passion for like the club and like helping out Ian and wanting to be involved. Like I've always loved film stuff. As a kid, I would always make like home videos and like do a lot of like stuff with like film and like movies. So it was like right up my alley to do this. And yeah, season 2, I storyboarded basically every episode and summarized most of the footage. Me and Cooper like kind of split half and half on summarizing. The team kind of grew over the years for season 3, season 4, season 5, beyond that. But kind of at the core, it's been, Ian's the lead editor, and I would say that me and Cooper kind of in the next like tier of people that have put the most time into it. And like in the credits, it's kind of credits us as the post-production executives. That's essentially what that role was. Like a lot of it summarizing, storyboarding, organizing everything, watching all the cuts, giving all the notes. There's definitely a lot of creative decisions over the years, over the seasons, where it's been like, oh, like what if we did this? What if we did that? That Cooper and I have contributed. And like I had one of the ideas on like, oh, what if we pretend like Tom found the idol and don't reveal that Eliza had it until later? And that whole like, and then that kind of like opened the door for the Pringle idol stuff and just like kind of doing just like kind of creative stuff with the edit. I've always been passionate about that. For All Stars, I want to say I actually had probably less creative influence on that compared to the other seasons. I did a lot of summarizing for All Stars, spent hours on that, gave a lot of like feedback and notes on it, but Ian really took like the story into his own hands. I think he did a really good job with it. So to answer the part of it, like, oh, was my involvement anything to do with like me winning or shaping my own story? Definitely no. I actually had the least involvement, at least storyboarding All Stars compared to the other seasons. And when I first got involved with the editing, that was before All Stars had happened. It was like during season 3. So
yeah,
it's really just been like I got passionate, wanted to help out season 2. And then, time went on and it kind of became clear that like I wanted to help see it through to the end of season 5 and really get the first 5 seasons out there.
So can I ask a follow-up to that?
Yeah.
So do you think all of the hours you spent watching like season 2 videos of other people and like I think probably even season 3 by that time, maybe even a little bit of season 4 helped you like know people's personalities and stuff for like playing with them in All Stars?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think that like watching the footage of the other players is like extremely beneficial. I mean, for one, if just being a producer in general, you get to see like everyone's strategy and what they're thinking. And beyond that, if you're like involved with the editing, you're literally watching like done dozens, if not hundreds of hours of these people and like every single thing that they think and every single thing that they say. And like you get to know like in the very details of like what everybody thinks about everybody else. You know, the thing to keep in mind is like something that people also do change over time. So you can't like one-to-one apply it to future seasons. But like the editing part definitely did help, like at least like just having a good understanding on seasons 2 and 3 of like what people were saying and thinking. And also like I feel like it inspired, like gave me it had influence on like how I filmed my own confessionals and like what I would say and how I'd film other people. Cause I'm like, oh, like I know that like this will be good for the edit or whatever. If like, this could happen, but also I might do this, like that kind of thing.
Any tips on like other people who are editing similar series? I think you guys focused a lot on like character moments and not being biased, like having everyone's story being equally told and like fully told.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of the Star Michigan seasons are like pretty funny, or are the focus on these character moments and not just all like game talk. But yeah, like any tips for other editors out there?
Definitely. I think a big tip is like don't be biased as far as like having an idea in your mind of what the season will turn out before you've seen the footage or like what you think the players will be like. I feel like a big thing with season 4 is production thought that it would be bad because it seemed like the gameplay was stagnant. But when you actually look at the footage, like the characters were like really funny. And like some of them, there's always like a couple unexpected people where like as a producer, you might think like, oh, they weren't doing that much, whatever. When you see their footage, you realize that like they were doing a lot more than you thought, or they were like a lot funnier than you thought. And they can become like a really big character. I think Lucy's a good example of that. People didn't like really like, she didn't really have a huge impression on people, I don't think, until after like season 2 aired. People saw like how like fun she was and like how like upbeat she was, and like you couldn't really tell that unless you'd actually seen the footage. And I feel like that's just a big thing, and like can't count anybody out. Like be open to like see what the footage has inside it. Like dig through every second of footage. Like don't leave 1 second, one stone unturned. Like look at every single second of footage and like just tell the story that's there. Don't try to shape it into whatever story you want to tell, but just look at what's there and like you just kind of tell the story that is there. And sometimes you had to like really dig to find what the story is, but like everyone has a story, and like I think that they can be more compelling than you might realize at first.
Well, I'm really glad that you watched my like 45-minute Adderalled out confessionals and like still want to be friends with me. So,
Yeah, no, they were great. They were great. Much better than not seeing them.
I haven't even seen these.
I feel like I just rambled so much in season 4 confessionals, especially just going in like circles and just recording the whole thing. And I guess, so, it's a tough job watching every single second of footage that comes through. So,
well, that's the thing. You watch every second, and maybe you'll see like you'll have one line buried somewhere in the 35-minute mark where you're like, oh wait, that perfectly like lines up with this other line this other person said, and you can like create a thing out of it. And you would never know.
He doesn't even know, but like this is perfect foreshadowing for what happens. Like there's no way he could have known, but this is perfect foreshadowing what happens.
Exactly.
5 weeks later.
It's like those golden nuggets, like needles in a haystack. Like that to me is what separates like something that's good from something that's like great or excellent. It's like finding those needles in the haystack, and you really had to put in the time to get that.
Do you have any like favorite needles in the haystack you remember from like All Stars pulling out? Or from any season?
Well, oh man, good needle in a haystack. This is a good question. Come back to that one. I'll think about it.
What about any insider info from editing All Stars that we don't know yet?
Anything you don't know yet? Well, there's endless content that hasn't been shown just because there's so much footage. It's an insane amount. And it was like hard to even pare. The episodes were long, as you saw. It was still hard to pare them down into what they were. There's all these storylines that haven't been shown. There's going to be, I know that Ian's going to go back one day and do bonus scenes for the post merge. So that'll show a lot of that stuff. There's like an episode 0 that's going to be shown that shows like everything before the game. So there's some like more content coming eventually one day that'll like just show even more of the background of what happened.
Cool. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have so many questions from the audience. So should we just like jump into some of these?
We're like 20 minutes in and we haven't really talked about Sam's actual game yet.
I didn't realize we were already 20 minutes in. Whew. Okay, should we just go through the questions first?
Should we start with like the question first that we ask all of the people who come on? So like, what have you been up to since All Stars?
Yeah. True. All Stars was a little over 3 years ago now. So All Stars finished, like I won the game, and then like 2 days later I graduated from college. So it was a big semester. It was like literally the same exact week. Yeah. So I graduated college. Then it was like a very clean cutoff there because I went from like all this college stuff, graduation, then like COVID hits like instantly. I started working. Had like a lot of travel in 2020. Lived remotely in Michigan for a while, and then eventually got a job here in Seattle. So moved out to Seattle maybe about almost a year ago now.
Wait, it's been a year?
Yeah. Oh, in August.
Why do I feel like you just moved?
It's been a while. Yeah. Moved out to Seattle. I work as a robotics engineer. So for all the confessionals I had of like, if I only was applying for jobs instead of searching for this idol. Yeah. I did get a job eventually. So, good. It all worked out. Work as a robotics engineer, live here in Seattle, and just settled in here. It's been great.
Wow. What a journey. You
What
still
a
keep
long
up with
change
everyone? Sam still keeps up with a lot of people.
Yeah, I definitely do. There's definitely a core group of people that I think will always stay in touch with.
Yeah.
Are we part of that?
TBD. Yes.
Well, yeah. So should we just jump into the audience questions then?
Let's jump into them. Let's see what the audience has to say.
So you want to alternate, Sarah, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, let's alternate. You want to ask the first one? It's long, so I'm overwhelmed.
Sure. I feel like I might have to kind of rephrase it.
Yeah. You will get my jury vote if
you also could just read verbatim.
Oh, okay. So I feel like I didn't understand what this person was saying at first. I thought they were quoting somebody, but I think they're kind of making a joke. Okay. Sorry, I'll just read it verbatim. So this person says, "You will get my jury vote if you admit that the whole OMG, it's such a tough decision, sad face. I can't do this during the Adam vote was just for cameras and to save face. You and I know that you were always going to this I person just who is this asking this question? Okay, this is me now talking. I'm like, is this some audience? Makes me feel like this was a jury member who's still salty. I don't know, but sorry.
Back to I have no idea. They're all anonymous. They're all in the poll.
Dang,
you and I know that you're always going to pick Leia no matter what. So it's hard for me, while knowing that to see you pull that kind of acting, you don't genuinely mean it. We get it. Y'all have developed a cool friendship, but that's trying to mean you have to turn into a melodrama when you cast that vote against them. So yeah. So I guess what this person is asking is how much of that, you playing up how hard of that decision was when you're voting out AJ, was that actually a really tough decision, or were you playing that up?
Yeah, it definitely was actually a tough decision. I mean, it wasn't like I was faking my emotions. That's just how I felt in that moment. I was really upset that I had to choose between Adam, AJ, and Leia, my two closest people. And I especially felt bad in that moment because previously in the game, AJ had basically been in the same position and saved my life. Almost willing to go to rocks for me, convinces Megan to not go to rocks. That was really huge. And I felt like now I have his game in my hands, and I am about to like vote you out. So it really sucked. It just felt really bad. So that was genuinely how I felt. That wasn't me like hamming anything up for the camera. So he says you're always gonna pick Leia no matter what. So yeah, also like at that moment when I was at the voting booth, it wasn't me like debating what I was going to do. I knew from the moment that it tied, I knew like, oh, I'm going to vote Adam out. This is gonna happen. It was more so me like I had made that decision. I knew that like I had to do that, but it just like sucked to do it. It was something I didn't want to do. So it wasn't me like debating what do I do. It was more like, wow, like this sucks. Like it was just it was a hard thing to do. It's a hard name to write down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that it was crocodile tears or anything. I think that. Would you say that's probably like one of the toughest, if not the toughest, like point in the game for you, just in terms of just like having to make a personal decision like that?
Yeah, that was definitely the hardest thing I had to do in the game, as far as like toughest decision I had to make. Because yeah, I mean, if I had not tied, I definitely was not voting out Adam for a while. I was kind of thinking of most likely at Final Four having to make that call, vote him out, and that was just because I felt like if going in front of a jury, it'd be very hard for me to argue against AJ, who came in with way less connections than I did, but it made a lot of the same moves. I found the idol, flipped the vote with the merge, a bunch of moves that I couldn't claim myself. And then like Leia was like extremely loyal to me, never going to vote me off. AJ, I believe, would vote me out eventually. So strategically, it made the most sense. I needed to have a solid 3 going into the final 6. Leia 3 made more sense to do that than like AJ and Bree would not have made sense. There's no way they would have stuck together as a trio. So all signs pointed to like that was obviously the move I had to make. It just sucked.
So I know you thought at the time it would be like very hard for you to convince the jury. So now with the benefit of hindsight, say the final 3 is you, AJ, and Leia, or you, I don't know, you, AJ, and Bree, let's say. Actually, I think more interesting. Who do you think? Do you think you win? Do you think AJ wins? What do you think the votes are like?
It depends on like what happened to get us there. Like let's scenario. I guess do I vote off Leia at the final 7? And then like maybe I guess pretend the same thing plays out. Like it depends how.
Yeah. Let's say you write down Leia's name at final 7, and pretty much the same thing happens after that.
I feel like I probably win, but it's just hard to say because you never know like what the jury is going to say until you're literally like there and they voted and you've had your entire pitch. Because much of the jury might say like, oh, like you were going to win, like AJ's not a threat at all. They also said that I wasn't going to win and that Leia was going to sweep the jury until they actually got to final tribal and like heard the pitches, and then like I feel like things changed. So I don't think that anyone can really definitively say what the jury was going to do. And it's like, is this a judgment call? I still think I made the right decision.
Yeah. Oh, good question. Okay, next one's also related to Adam. Sam, you literally voted out Adam. Why didn't you take credit and cross him off in red instead of scribbling him out in black? How long between revisiting the kill list did you realize putting Adam on the list was an oopsie and then scribbled him off?
Yeah, that's a good one. So I wrote down Adam on the hit list after Bree had come to me and basically said like, oh, Adam has 2 idols and he's like lying to you. And he's had the Pringle idol this entire time. And I was like, whoa, like that's crazy. That's a big piece of information to be holding back all this time. And like to tell Bree and not me, I definitely lost a lot of trust. There's a lot of other stuff that happened behind the scenes or in the episodes where we were like kind of like losing trust in each other. It was a little bit like we were working together, but also both kind of wary of each other. Both kind of felt like we didn't want to sit next to each other in the end. So there was just kind of a lack of trust, and that idol thing was kind of like this made me like push me over the edge to write his name down, be like, I need to get Adam out. Then after talking with Adam, we had like a really good conversation of just like getting on the same page again, realizing that like Bree had made that fact up and also just like kind of rededicating our alliance to each other. And then after that, and that was maybe during final 8, final 7. So at that point, I like scribbled it out. I was like, no, never mind. Like Adam's not on the list. So that was before the vote had happened.
What you think it's like Death Note, where like once you wrote his name, on it, you couldn't really take it off. So like
Maybe.
that destined him to be killed.
It could have been. It could have been. It could have been kind of like Logan Roy. Was it a cross or an underline?
Yeah, it was underline.
Yeah. The point is that it was written in the first place.
You got a Succession reference in already. I love it.
Yeah. Got to get that in there.
Mm-hmm. So now we're jumping up to final 4. I'm sure we're just gonna be jumping around with all these different questions. So this person wrote, at final 4, I felt that Cooper made a pretty compelling argument to why Bree should be voted out, as her desire to play had seemingly dwindled. For Sam and Leia, was there anything humanly possible that Cooper could have said, or to a different pitch or angle he could have taken to get like one or both of you to vote Bree out? Or was that just not happening?
No, I was not going to vote Bree out. And when she said she wanted to quit, that was like even more so like, oh, no, I'm definitely not going to vote Bree out, because she basically like had it was like basically bringing someone to the end that I believed would be easier to beat. Not to like, shit on Bree's game. Bree played a great game. But at the point that she said she wanted to quit, I basically felt like, okay, like that makes it, she wants to quit versus Cooper will do anything to win. Who's the easier person to beat in the finals? Obviously it's going to be Bree in that case. So I was like, there's no way Cooper can get to the end now. And I was never going to change my mind on that. And Leia tried to get me to change my mind. She wanted to vote off Bree that week. And I do feel bad for like, if someone asks to go, it sucks to like not honor their wishes. And it sucks because Cooper did want to be there so badly, like on a personal level. But yeah, I just felt like it was the best like strategic decision and it was the best final.
Like
Cooper's on the list, right? Like I had to cross him off.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like if you're playing to win, you bring like between Bree and Cooper, you bring Bree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of people want to play like an honorable like game and want to win against like the best of the best, but like if you're there to win, you got to vote out. Go to the end with people you think you can beat. Like play to win.
It's interesting because I feel like I had both elements of that though, because I also did kind of feel like Leia, going to the end with Leia felt like that kind of honorable, like I want to beat the best kind of thing. So I did kind of see us very much as like equals in the game. We made a lot of decisions together. And I felt like both of us had a good chance of winning, and both of us had very different pitches we could make. Because there's an argument of like, oh, why don't you just vote off Leia and bring Cooper to the end? Cooper's been left out of a bunch of votes. So why not go against Cooper and Bree? And to me, it's like a part of it was like we just had that like final 2 like loyalty, like that I was playing a loyal game. That had been my MO from the very beginning. Like my first confessional is like, I have turned on Jack and Sarah and like I lost because of it. I want to play loyal this time. So it was like going with specifically Leia and Bree at a certain point because of like how that'd been my strategy all along. That was like the list. Like it just felt like I didn't want any other outcome at the end. And also with Leia, I just felt like I kind of liked the idea of going to the end against someone that like we both had good games. We both had good pitches we could make. And like,
yes.
Out.
Like, yeah, but also at the same time, it was partially strategic because then you could frame it that this was your strategy to be more loyal this time. Exactly. And you did think that you had a chance to beat her. So it was honorable. By the end of the day, it was strategic.
Yeah. It's the thing is like, it's both of them at the same time. Like it's not like any decision is like 100% this or 100% that. Like there were a bunch of factors that led into all of these for me. But yeah, I agree. It definitely was also strategic. Like I mentioned it in Final Tribal why I didn't want Cooper to be there. He would have said anything. He would have said anything. I could not predict what he would say up there, but I had a good idea of how Leia would act in front of the jury.
So I know we can't predict, but if we had to predict, what do you think would have been the vote? Or I feel like it would have been very close if you did vote out Bree there.
Yeah,
if
like
it was
Cooper, you and Leia.
Yeah. I feel like all three of you could win that.
Yeah. I think it depends a lot on the final tribal.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a worry that me and Leia like split votes with
Mhm.
each other, and then Cooper gets kind of like cleans up the other ones.
Yeah, the anti Sam and Leia, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's hard to
Yeah.
say, but that was also a reason I didn't want to vote on Bree,
Mhm.
because I'm like that's a scary matchup. Like, are me and Leia going to steal votes? But you never know. You never know.
All right, next question. How much did you buy into Leia's theory on the game? Did you buy in yourself, or did you go along with it because you thought it furthered your own interests? Since you were on the list.
I mean, it depends like what they mean when they say Leia's theory in the game, because as far as like her idea about loyalty, I definitely had I had a very similar kind of like philosophy in the game, and that was, I think, why our alliance worked so well and why we were able to work so closely together, is because from the very start I wanted to play a game where I was like loyal to my allies, like kind of like take my ride or dies and went with them to the end, and like kind of just like I'll defend them no matter what. If someone throws down, they throw down Lucy's name, I'll do whatever it takes to save Lucy. They put down AJ's name, I'll save AJ. Whatever, Leia's name, Bree's name, like I'll protect my allies at any cost. I'll put the enemies on the list. Like that's just what the philosophy I had, and it worked really well with Leia's philosophy on like just like establishing like really deep trust, and especially like her idea of getting like one person to be 100% loyal to no matter what. She had that with Mitch, and like it worked out with me. And I've seen that happen in previous seasons with like Dale and Shannon, Devin and Dylan, Nick and Mallory. So there's a part of me that like knew that strategy was good and it worked in the past. It was just kind of the strategy I came in with. And then, once I got together with Leia, like they just like meshed very well.
Gotcha.
But yeah, as far as like the list though, I didn't agree with that. I didn't agree with like choosing your close friends ahead of time and like just like being loyal to your friends. Like I was very opposite from that. Like I wanted to just, I think I said in one of the early episodes something like, friends aren't friends. Like allies, what is it? Friends aren't allies. Allies are allies. Like Adam was my closest ally, and I knew him the least of anybody. So to me, like the whole pre-existing friendship thing, like meant nothing. Like I didn't care. I would have voted off Cooper or whoever, like in the pre-merge, even though I was friends with them, because I just wanted to win. I didn't really care. It's more about loyalty and trust than it was about like how well I knew the person.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think like very, very 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I could go either way. I thought it would come down to final tribal performance, because I thought that it was close enough going in that either of us could win. How high would it have had to been for me to vote off Leia? Is that the next question?
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a two-parter, I guess. Yeah, so like if you were like 100% convinced that Leia was going to win if you went to the end with her, would you have voted her off?
Yeah, I mean, if I was 100% convinced, I probably would have. Yeah. But I just don't think that like that would ever happen. I just don't think that it's possible. You can't be 100% convinced of any of that stuff. And also, like, I feel like it's in general, I wouldn't have played. I think that no matter what, going into final tribal, like against any combination of people, I would have felt decently confident, at least like a 50-50 against anybody. But I don't know. Maybe that was just hubris. Like I just don't see a scenario where I go in final tribal being like, "Oh, I'm gonna lose." Mm-hmm. That's just not the way I felt. I felt like I played a good game.
Makes sense. I mean, that's the advantage of like being perceived as a bigger player. It's kind of more about just getting to the end.
Mm-hmm.
You have to worry less about kind of building that reputation.
Well, I think also just if you make moves, you have to be able to be confident in your moves, because if it is kind of like a fool's gold thing where you're perceived as a threat, but you haven't actually done anything, I do think eventually you'll get exposed at final tribal.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
What did you actually do though? Like even like Cooper actually did make moves, and he still was kind of getting accused of that at the end by the jury, of like at the round table, the jury is accusing Cooper of being a goat and being like, "Oh, what did Cooper actually do?" Blah, blah, blah. So I do think that You need
I mean,
to
he
act.
voted incorrectly a fair amount post merge,
did.
you know,
You did.
and you didn't.
That's true. You want to vote correctly. That's
Yeah.
definitely important. That's a good important argument to point to, right? Is like,
Yeah.
look at the voting record. I voted whoever went home. I voted for them every time. You know, the only tribal I didn't vote with the majority was the one in season 2 where I went home. I was like 19. The other 19 voted the right way. It's like that's what you
That's
got.
an insane stat.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. Say what you want. I play messy, but I've managed to find myself in the majority at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was just looking at because I know somebody was talking about that in the Discord. RK Lima was, yeah, because technically you voted incorrectly twice, but it's the Aaron boot. You voted Jackson, but he played his head on the Sarah boot. And you voted Andrew in the split. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, split votes is like
you knew who was going home every time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Split votes are just like, oh, like if you're a guy, you vote for this person. If you're a girl, you vote for that person. Like it's kind of arbitrary most of the time.
So nice work.
Thank you.
Sam Morris is good at Survivor.
Do you still have your hit list? Is it framed in your room? How much thought did you put into your final tribal wardrobe? Flamingo shirt versus wearing a suit.
Funny. I do still have the hit list. It's not with me here. I think it's probably at my parents' house, buried somewhere. But I still have that, and I still have the deck of cards with everyone's faces on them. And I have like one more. Oh, I think Matthew gave me like the votes that were for me to win. I think I have those too. So like I've got some memorabilia stored away, and wardrobe. I actually did. So I considered wearing a suit, but I think I opted for a more casual look. It's actually in the very first day of the game. I was wearing that exact same flamingo shirt. There was like one bad actually one of my friends like made that shirt for me. Like she literally like printed out like the fabric and like made that shirt. So I thought it was a cool shirt just because my friend had made it, but also like it made sense to me to wear the same thing on the very end of the game as I did on day one. Like I felt like it was kind of like, I don't know, it just made sense.
Wait, day 1 of season 5 or our season?
Season 5.
You should have worn the shirt you wore to day 1 of our season.
That's funny. I don't even know what that was.
Full circle.
That would be very, very full circle.
Whatever happened to the blue cowboy hat? When did that stop? When did you stop wearing that?
Well, Cooper lost it. We were at a tailgate for one of the games, and Blackout Cooper is like, "Oh, can I like borrow your hat? Like I need it." And I was like, "Okay," and put it on his head. He disappears.
Never.
Yeah. And like later he returns without it. I'm like, "What happened to the hat?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?"
Like, I feel like it was on purpose.
I don't know.
He knew it was your good luck charm, so he smothered it.
Well, see, the thing is, though, that actually did much better in the game once I got rid of that hat.
There's bad energy in that, maybe.
I know. And honestly, it does feel kind of symbolic. Like I felt like the hat almost felt kind of like I kind of felt like I had this kind of like cartoonish like villain persona for a lot of the season. It was just kind of like whatever, hamming it up for the camera.
You're causing chaos. I feel like intentionally, like with the Tom stuff and everything. I feel like you were much more intentionally just like wanting to like stir up shit.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like then at the tribal council that I had to choose between Adam and Leia, I like ripped off like my hat in like frustration. I remember just like throwing it in the ground and it's like kicking it and it's being very dramatic. And then like the next weekend is like when I lost it, and then it just like never wore it again. And it just kind of like also makes sense, I guess, that at that point I was kind of like, that did all kind of feel like the point in which like I kind of went from I don't know, whatever, playing a character, playing things up to just like being much more serious. And final 6 to the end, I think that is where I played my best gameplay, and just it was just kind of like, okay, let's just watch it. Yeah.
Damn, I did not realize there was so much kind of like metaphor and stuff packed into the blue cowboy hat,
Yeah, there definitely was. Wish I still had it though.
I'll have to get a new one with your winnings.
True. I thought I should have done. Yeah, man, that would have been a good one. Should have just bought up the winnings.
Oh, sorry. I want to make a comment about just speaking about hanging up stuff in your room. I find it very funny that I was just at your apartment and the All Stars poster is hanging very prominently in the living room, like beautiful, like it's larger. It's like right over everything. It's like the first thing you see when you walk in, and right there. And the season 2 poster is like hidden away in a closet.
Very funny. Yeah, true. It would be a hung up room for it, but if I only could choose one Survivor Michigan, thing to put up, I feel like that one makes sense.
It hurts, but I get it.
Season 2 always has a special place.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first one. It was the beginning.
It was. Is it my turn? I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what was your reaction to AJ's jury speech and then their vote for you to win? Do you think that there would be a vote for you going in, or be your hardest critic? Is their full line correct? Do you think they were a fool in the end?
I mean, I definitely came in there feeling like Lucy and Adam were the 2 votes I had the best chance of getting. Like that just kind of felt. I guess I kind of felt like, okay, I'd probably get those 2 votes. So when Adam asked that question, I definitely understood why. I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, I did literally choose Leia over you. Like that sucks. But I was surprised at the framing of like, oh, like would you vote for someone that made you a fool? Yes or no? So it felt like it was a false. Like I was like, what? I don't agree with the premise. Like I don't think you were a fool. So like I don't know. So like that. And that's basically what I was trying to explain. It's like, no, like that's not the way that I saw it. Like I didn't see it as me kind of like pulling one over, or like manipulating Adam. I really felt like I had to make a choice between my 2 closest people, and I just couldn't. I had to choose Leia. There's multiple reasons, and I just had to. So I definitely talked about how like I saw Adam as a threat, which was true. People watching the episode thought that I was like bullshitting. Like, no, that is actually what I thought. Like, and I still think that to this day that Adam was a threat. And I still feel like people underrate the amount of moves that Adam made in the game. And just because like he was perceived as being like, like doing what I said, that's just still not the case. And that's not the way that both of us knew it to be. And if Adam were to get the final tribal, he would have explained that. And I think that he would have had a very compelling speech at the end. So I just explained that. And it was like, no, like I didn't make a fool out of you. I disagree with that. And I think that resonated.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people in the live chat or whatever, live chat is a toxic place. So, but whatever.
Yeah,
but we're shitting on your answer for that. And I thought that was actually like one of your best answers of the entire Tribal Council.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously like it literally worked, and it didn't seem like Adam wanted to vote for you at all. And he had 2 people kind of above you, and he ended up, crossing out Bree's name, of course, and writing you down. So like it worked. So I don't know how you can say that's a bad answer, and then it literally worked.
Yeah. I mean, you got to look at the results, I guess. How people ultimately ended up voting. But I'm sure there are some people too that like maybe even if they had a good answer, they didn't change their mind.
Yeah. And some people have a bad answer that changes their mind, like Bailey.
Oh yeah, that was so crazy. When she said that, I was like,
what was your thoughts at that second? Yeah.
I was like, oh, damn, like I might win now. That's what I thought. I was like, that I might win. Like that was very bad. Just unforced error.
Well, okay, actually in Vegas, AJ claims that they wanted to vote for Bree, but they're not gonna, like, Bree's not gonna win.
Yeah.
And so they threw his vote at you because they wanted y'all's storyline to be highlighted. But I'm like, if Bree got that vote and if Bailey ended up voting for Leia, that could have swung the tide, honestly.
Yeah, it could have. I mean, if it was tied, then Leia would have won. Bree would have voted for Leia in the revote.
Yeah, exactly. So like every jury vote matters.
No, Bree would have won.
Every jury vote.
Because if you and Leia tied and then Bria was third, I think Bria would have won.
Yeah.
That's how
the Lucy way.
Yeah.
the
The
Lucy
Yeah.
Law.
No,
Lucy Law.
every vote matters. I mean, I think also like Bailey. Actually, I don't remember Bailey's take on this. She might have said something about how like she was definitely. I think she was leaning towards voting for me at that point in tribal council, and then when Leia said that, it kind of like sealed it for her. So maybe she still would. We would have still voted for me even if Leia had not said that. But like, yeah, I mean, every vote matters. It's like and that's the thing. That final tribal, I feel like, it's hard for me to compare it to other ones because I wasn't. I guess yeah. For those other ones, I don't know. It's hard to speak for him, but like if this is one where I definitely did feel like it was very like live. Like the votes could have the votes could have changed like a lot of different times, and I could have seen it going different ways. Like depending on how tribal council played out.
Yeah, it's crazy how volatile that jury portion can be at the end.
Mm-hmm. Well, I actually appreciated that a lot. Like I felt like this jury was open-minded and they were like willing to change their minds or like kind of just hear what the pitches were instead of just like coming in with their mind made up. Because like the thing is like Leia, Bree, and I like we had played a lot of the game with like kind of like the three of us and not let other people in on the rest of the information. So by the time we got to the final three, is like the other people that have been voted off in the jury, like a lot of them didn't really see what our strategy was. Like they saw who we voted off, what we said at tribal council, but like a lot of them didn't truly see like, well, how did everything play out? Right. So I thought it was good that they were open-minded to hear what we had to say about it.
True. Okay, this is a big question. Sam, another question is about your game and mistakes. I think this season did a great job of highlighting the complexity of the gameplay and how quickly it changed. One thing that happened quite often was you made a mistake but managed to survive them all and often get better relationships because of it. What are your thoughts? What's your thought process on mistakes as a winner, and how do you think you specifically made them work for you in the end?
So, I mean, nobody's able to play a perfect game in Survivor. Like everyone does make some mistakes. And like
everybody has those days.
Everyone has those days, right? I guess some people might make less mistakes than others, but the way I approached the game was like I was never going to come in and play the game like play scared. Like I was like, this is an all-star season, and ultimately this is like just a product that's out for. It's going to be released like for entertainment one day. It's not like it's only $100. It's not like the end of the world. So I just wanted to have fun with it. I wanted to just like, and I felt like it was more fun to play a bigger game and make more moves than to sit back. Cause I'm like, you know, maybe I would play more reserve if it was for $1 million, but for $100, like why not just go out and do whatever, right? Just have a good time. So
go blue cowboy hat mode. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Blue cowboy hat mode. So I saw it as like, sure, if I'm doing more things, I'm going to probably make more mistakes just because, you know, statistically you make more decisions, you make more moves, more of them will be mistakes. And I was okay with that. I was very inspired by like Tony and Cagayan, like one of my favorite seasons, one of my favorite winners, and how he just did so much and he like played so hard. And even if he'd make a mistake, like he would just make like 5 other moves and then like people would forget about the one that was a mistake because he'd made so much other shit had happened by then. And that's kind of like what I was trying to do, was just like, you just make a bunch of moves. People will forget about your mistakes. You can recover. A lot of things were happening. A lot of people made a lot of mistakes, and the game just moved very fast. And an important point I want to make as well is that, you know, no event in the game of Survivor is going to be attributed exclusively to skill or to luck. I've heard people say things about like, oh, like, you know, it seemed like you got lucky a lot. You know, Nick brought that up at Tribal Council. I brought the same thing up to Nick when I was a juror in season 2. And I feel like I've definitely kind of grown over the years to understand like every single outcome in Survivor has an element of chance. And I feel like players can make decisions that stack the odds in their favor. So for me, I focused on developing relationships because I was like, I recognize I'm not always going to be in a position of power. Sometimes I'm going to have to rely on other people to make decisions. So if I am able to make a lot of relationships with people, especially reach out to new people that I don't know, develop those new connections, you those people will have my back, and that will basically help me survive in rounds where the fate of my game is in others' hands. So, on one hand, you could say that it was luck, but the way I would say is like, well, I made moves, I developed relationships that stack the odds in my favor.
Would you say it's like 10% luck and like 20% skill and like 15% concentrated power of will?
Yeah. All those.
Yeah.
69%. Okay. Whatever. Also, every move has different statistics added to it. Like the odds that Nick, plays his idol versus doesn't play it, that's probably more lucky for me than something like, the vote flipping at the merge, where I actually did things in order to make that happen. Like I talked to Bailey and got the information about the 8 and gave that to Adam, and that's what Adam was able to use in order to get Bailey to flip. So you could say like, oh, like you got lucky at the merge, you should have been idled out. And I was like, well, I also did do things to make sure that I was supposed to be the vote. I did things and was able to mix things up enough that votes got into Nick instead. So like, there's just so many different things that happen. I think it's just like very reductive to say like, oh, this person just 100% skill, or like, no, that person just 100% got lucky. Like it's all the above. There's definitely luck too.
Yeah, it's like Catan. It's a mix.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah,
RNG.
Like it's like Catan, but like you want to put your building on the higher numbers that are more likely to get. It's like Catan is, you're rolling dice, that part's luck, but you can still make decisions on where you're putting your developments, where you're putting your houses. Maybe you'll get unlucky and you set up really well and the wrong numbers rolled and you get a bunch of 12s, but like the long run, things tend to trend towards better strategic decisions working out.
Wow, what a great analogy.
Survivor is Catan.
Survivor is indeed Catan.
We need to get like some yellow jackets in there. We need to sneak Charlie in there somewhere. Charlie XCX. We just need to get all the greatest hits.
Death Grips. I'm seeing Death Grips tomorrow.
Oh, nice, dude. That's sick.
Yeah. So that's a big reference. Let's see. Next question time.
Yes.
Let's go.
Any more? Baby, you're so lucky. See, there's a Charlie XCX. Boom.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So we're done with the luck. So how hard was it to keep your mouth shut about All Stars while playing and podcasting season 2? And well, you weren't playing season 2 after you won All Stars, right?
Maybe it means No, I guess like while we were
podcasting season 2.
It's just funny in the question because like while playing and podcasting season 2.
Yeah.
It's like that's some weird Mallory time warp. Like you have to keep quiet. Like don't tell anybody on season 2 that you're gonna come back and win.
That's so wild.
Yeah. And how hard was it to keep your win a secret while it was airing and you were podcasting? So yeah, just how has it been doing podcasts all these years now?
I mean, you guys can relate, I'm sure, like because we've all podcasted when we had our own seasons coming out or like future seasons coming out. And like, I feel like it's funny because like at times we'll slip in like very subtle references that like the audience at the moment doesn't know what we're saying, but like later on you're like, oh, like that's what they were talking about. Like I feel like there was times where we would joke about it, but I think that like, because the 3 of us started podcasting season 1 after we'd already done season 2, like, I don't know, you can speak from your perspective. I felt like we just got very used to it. And just got very used to talking about the game in such a way where you're not like spoiling things. So I was just very used to it. By the time I got to season 5, it was kind of just like, if anything, I would say things sometimes that throw people off. Like there's one very specific instance where I like leaked that Emily B had the Pringle idol, which was like on purpose to throw people off to like the fact that Andrew actually had it. So like I was very aware of what I was saying.
We play Survivor every day. I'm still playing Survivor.
Never ends.
Still playing Catan.
Yeah.
No, yeah. And I feel like we talked about this sometime earlier this season, but like there were like Jackson references in like the season 1 podcast because it was like as season 4 was, or like something like that, or season 2 podcasts where we were talking about. Don't even worry about it.
Worry about it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, go back and watch the old ones. Maybe you'll see some Easter eggs. I'm sure there's ones that we forgot about.
True.
Yeah. I'm honestly like surprised we didn't slip more or like.
Well, we could edit it out. That was a thing.
Yeah, true.
did.
But like even just like subtle things, like I don't know. I feel like it's definitely been something that was I feel like kind of harder at first, and I feel like definitely it got easier to like compartmentalize, and just be like, this is what we're talking about, like this stuff that is happening, that people have seen on the TV, and not yeah.
Well, now it's like we could talk about anything from seasons 1 through 5, and there's like no spoilers.
Yeah,
like no spoilers.
True.
That's wild.
I mean, I feel like there's still spoilers that I know of some future seasons
1
stuff.
through 5.
Yeah.
Well, but I know, but like season 6 and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I can't be like completely spoiler free.
Which I think, do people like know about? Like, were there questions about season 6 coming out and stuff? Like, can we talk about any of that or no?
I mean, it's gonna come out, yeah.
Because I thought there was question of whether or not it was going to actually come out.
Oh, well, yeah, it is. Definitely is. I'm not involved with it, but I'm kind of taking my retirement. But it'll be out there. I know that.
I think the seasons after season 6, we're not sure about, to be honest.
I see some cuts of season 7. They're working on that too.
Whoa.
Oh, really? Well, okay. I've been hearing otherwise from other people.
Hey, see, this is the thing. You can't trust anyone in Survivor. They don't know what they're talking. They don't know what they're talking.
I feel like Sam's giving false hope right now.
I'm not. Season 6 and 7, at least, there definitely is work being done on them.
All right. It'll be completely different editing style, though. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Just back to the spoiler stuff. I just remembered that I got a Twitter DM about a spoiler that I dropped during like the season 4 podcast thing that hey Jack, just a heads up, I'm not sure if there's a huge spoiler from Tom that wasn't edited out of the last podcast when he referred to how Emily P told him that you had a knack for bringing along the right people to the end. So like implying that I'm going to bring along the right people to the end. So it's like I had to fast forward on the off chance it was a spoiler of the end game, and it was not a spoiler of the end
Guys,
game.
we're not dumb.
Yeah.
Tom.
Like even if we slipped up, it would be edited out.
Yeah. Wait, he said you have a knack for bringing the right people to the end. What is even? Was that a reference?
I don't know.
That's
like
hilarious.
Tom's brain just works faster than his mouth, or both, or I don't know which way around it goes, but there's like disconnect there.
You're just like thinking in a slightly different dimension and trying to like, explain that dimension to us.
Mm-hmm. So maybe he's still spoiling it for me that there's a game that I play with, because Emily P is also mentioned in there that I bring Emily P to the end in All Stars 3, maybe.
When he goes and hides in the bush outside Cooper's house, he like enters a portal where you can see the future.
Well, what if he's hiding in the bush behind Cooper's house and he actually has the hat from you because he knows that he took the hat off of Cooper's head from the tailgate. He like pranced out of the bush and took it from him because he knew that you like needed to evolve. So it's like Tom's
he knew that was what needed to happen. That seems very likely, actually. Yeah.
I think we should look
in. That solves the mystery. What happened to it?
Mm-hmm. I think if you look in the bush outside Cooper's house where Tom's spy shack was, you'll find the hat.
That is many miles from here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait! Speaking of which, when Ian had the addresses of everyone, we were dying.
That was so funny.
We were
doxing everybody 3 years later.
Crouch had a really funny comment.
Oh yeah, he did. Because it was when you said that your house was like always unlocked or something. Was it that one comment? And Crouch was like, now people have the address and they know it's always unlocked.
Yeah. It's so screwed. It was like when Leia walked in and like walked in my apartment and put some hot chocolate in there. Like she's like, oh yeah, Sam's apartment's unlocked. Like wow. Like you're screwed.
That was such a sweet moment, by the way.
Yeah.
See,
Leia can be nice, guys. Leia is nice.
She is.
Leia has a heart.
She's very sweet.
What was your reaction to that when you woke up and saw that hot chocolate?
I was just like, well, I was confused first of all because I was like very out of it at that point. I like slept through the day. Leia was like, oh, I stopped by. I was like, wait, when did that happen? Like, did I forget this? Like, did this happen? Like, what day is it right now? But once the confusion and his came away, I was very happy. It was very nice of her. was cold. I probably had to like warm it up on the microwave because I was like
Mhm.
came home and slept all day. But yeah, it was really nice. It meant a lot.
So I have a question actually before I get back to the questions. So you've done, I think, 2 marathons now, right?
Yeah.
What's harder, running a marathon or hanging on to a statue for 8 hours or whatever?
Man, it's crazy. Like I was gonna say, in the episode I said like that's the hardest thing physically, or mentally that I've done in my life, and up until that point, that's definitely true. I almost want to say that the Death Valley Marathon was tougher, but also though, like maybe it's just because it's more present in my mind. Like at that, I honestly still might say the statue was tougher than marathons because it was really the part where it was everything that led up to it. We had already been standing there for 8 hours, been through the entire night. It was snowing. I felt awful. I was sick. And then the part on one leg, like I don't know how much it comes across on the screen, but it was so insanely painful to stand on
I think
like
it
2
comes
hours
across.
on one leg like that. It's really painful. It started hurting after 10 minutes, but like, it's like you can't back out. Like you can't do it. You can't let it hit the ground. So I just remember having to dig insanely deep to keep my leg up. And,
Dig
like,
deep.
contort my body in like weird ways to like keep the
Mhm.
leg off the ground. And after a while, like the muscles you're using to keep your leg up, like all give out. So you're using like other muscles in your body to hold your leg up. Like I was worried that I like messed up my leg because I couldn't walk afterwards. And Brady, like basically like after it was done, me and Cooper couldn't stand anymore. Like our legs were shot. So literally Brady like, put both of us on his shoulders, and kind of like him and Matthew were like dragging us to the car, dropped us off at our apartments, got to my apartment, and I couldn't get out of the car.
You were both on Brady's shoulders. He's
Yeah.
that strong.
Yeah, we got carried on his shoulders. He carried us.
Wow.
One with one hand and one finger, balanced us. Brady like basically like dragged me to the front door of my apartment complex, and then I opened the door and had to like crawl through the hallway to get to my door. It was bad. I couldn't walk. So
did anybody like walk in and just see you at like 8 a.m. crawling up the stairs?
No, but
That would have
it
been
would
a
have
funny
been
scene.
really difficult to explain if they did.
Mhm. I've been hanging on Bo Schembecker all night.
I also sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I was asking Cooper like if he thinks it would have been easier if he took his shoe off, just because I know it was really cold, but his shoes looked super heavy, and I just feel like that would like drag your leg down more.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I would have taken my shoes off because your feet just gets numb after a while from the cold, and then you don't feel it.
That's true. I don't know. Yeah, it was just very cold, and who knows how many hours we would put out there is the thing. But you didn't know how long it was going to last.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I will mention on all that is just like one of the harder things about doing a marathon, and it applied to this as well, is just like the mental part of it, of how boring it is to like just do nothing for that many hours. Like you really just get very bored, and it's like really hard mentally. Like I remember at one point in the night, like also, by the way, I got to give a shout out to Brady, because Brady basically had to do the same thing we did. He didn't have his hand in the statue or on one leg, but he had to sit out there all night, which like also sucked. And I remember
he wasn't getting screen time. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? Because he had to film us. He had to stay.
Yeah.
He at one point in the night, there's like these stairs that I could see from the statue, and Brady would just like run up and down the stairs, up and down, up and down, up and down. Probably, I think he was trying to like keep himself awake. But I remember like that was all the entertainment I had for a solid while, was just like counting how many times he'd gone up and down, like 1, 2, 3.
I mean, that's like why prison sucks, because it's boring as hell.
Yeah, no, it's horrible. I mean, Cooper started naming random prime numbers. You'd be like 3, 5, 7, 11, 13.
He would with his little math.
That's like what he did to pass the time, and he kept going for like into like the hundreds, and eventually he stopped. And I was like, Cooper, like, do you want to keep doing prime numbers? Like, it's like that's the only entertainment I had. I'm pretty bored. He's like, I would, but I'm too tired. Like, I can't. I was like, Cooper, like, please, like, give me something. It was bad. We were getting desperate.
I know it's impossible to predict, but how long do you think you could have gone without the foot?
Like, just standing there?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I mean, realistically, like, I could have stayed out there for a very long time. I had adult diaper on, so I could have. And Leia, we already had.
Wait, did you use the adult diaper?
I did not. But we had plans that, like, if one of us was there throughout the next day, like, Leia was really going to come back and, like, bring me food and water and, like, basically, like, keep each other alive for as long as it lasted. I had adult diaper. Like, I could have been set in that sense, but I also knew that if we were out there forever, Cooper would have never stepped down. And I felt like, because I was, like, feeling sick, like, I probably would have just, like, cut my losses and stepped off at a certain point. I think that Cooper would have won if we hadn't gotten to the tiebreaker.
Damn.
And if it wasn't even physical, it would have just been like, I would have been like, he's not stepping down. Like, he's never going to leave. I can't win it. I'm just going to leave. That's probably what would have happened.
So were you happy when they announced the rule change?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like after Cooper refused the deal, I was like, damn, like, I'm not going to win this, am I? Like, that was like, because I was hoping that Cooper would just, like, feel safe enough that he would step off. Big misconception of, like, the whole episode too, by the way. There's a lot of things in the episode that were kind of, like, a little bit misleading and, like, where my mind was actually at. But I didn't think that he would step down because of the deal. I thought that Cooper would be more likely to step down because he would feel like he was safe. Because my entire goal was just to convince him that I was on his side and I was against Leia. And I was like, if Cooper truly believes that I'm against Leia, then, you know, he won't be as incentivized to stay there, because, like, he'll feel like, you know, I don't need this to survive. Leia's, you know, Sam and Leia are against each other anyways. So that was more what it was. But then when Cooper refused to step down, I was like, oh, he's just never going to step down now. Like, that sucks. And when the tiebreaker was announced, I was like, all right, like, this gives me a second wind. Like, it definitely energized me. I was like, I think I can win now.
You were in good shape. You were doing crew at that time, right? Or
rowing.
Yeah. I was on the rowing team. I was in decent shape. Yep.
I feel like you're hard to we would have been hard to beat on that one.
Yeah. I also had a scrapped plan to tell Cooper before the challenge, like, Cooper, like, you're a goner. Like, I think I can save you, but I will only save you if you show up to tribal council with, like, nothing and no clothes on, with, like, only, like, shirt, like, whatever, t-shirt and shorts, or, like, only your underwear. And basically forced him to do the challenge with, like, no warm clothes.
Oh my
so
God.
that was like an idea I was, like, thinking about. I was like, oh, this will give me a much better chance of winning, is if I basically be like, I'll only save you if you come with, like, no warm stuff. But I was like, oh, if I tell him that, he'll agree to it, and then he'll just, like, stash some, like, jacket near the statue, or he'll figure out something. He'll ask his roommate or something like that. I was like, okay, that's not going to work. Plus, it's a little cruel, so whatever. I won't say that, but I considered it.
Did you ever say to him while you were up there, like, hey, Cooper, what about that business project? I feel like that just, like, didn't come up.
Oh, yeah. No, that's another good. So that actually, I did know that it was fake the whole time. It was kind of, like, edited to make it look like I believed it or wasn't sure. But actually, the way it happened was, I came to Cooper and I was like, I don't believe you. I think this could be photoshopped. Like, my friend Fallon was in that class, and she said that they already had the presentation. So I was like, I sat with him. I was like, Cooper, like, show me your group me. And he's like, okay, pulls it up. I'm like, can you text in there right now and be like, what's everybody wearing for the presentation tomorrow? And he's like, what if I can't do that? I'm
what?
Like,
why would he say that? Just go along with it. Explain later.
Well, I was like, I want to see. He's like, I want to, like, look through your chat, like, scroll through it. And he's like, I can't do that. And I was like, why not? He's like, because there's no presentation. I was like, okay. But at that time, I was pretending to be with him. So I actually said, Cooper, if you should, I promise I won't tell Leia and Bree about this. You should make fake screenshots and send them to Leia and Bree, and then I'll vouch for you and say that I saw it in person and, like, tell them that it's real. And that's where he made. And then he spent like all this time making these screenshots, like sending them out. And then the whole time I went to Leia and Bree, I'm like, yeah, by the way, like I just told this to Cooper. Don't worry about it. They're fake. He confirmed presentation is not real, so we know that it's not happening. But I did all that to make him like trust me and think that I'm against Leia and Bree, and therefore have a greater chance of stepping off. So there's all this like really deep like mind games going on that week, like regarding the class, all the way to like the acting at the statue, me being like, oh, like Cooper definitely has to step off. Like it's like no, like we all knew that it was fake, but Cooper thought that they thought it was real, and I knew it was fake, and thought that I was lying to them. And it was like a whole thing.
It's a damn.
Yeah, the screenshots are a big thing in Survivor Michigan. Because
Yeah.
actually in Survivor San Diego, we don't allow any screenshots. But the screenshot made it more stressful because you could fake things, and like anyone could screenshot your texts and like prove you wrong.
True.
I forgot about how stressful that was.
Yeah, definitely. I do feel bad for forcing him to make fake screenshots for no reason. But you know what? I
For
actually
the content in the episode.
It gave him a great moment in the episode. So actually, it ended up working out.
Wait, so I think I'm just dumb, but what was the actual reason that you kept Cooper then at Final Five instead of Crouch?
The actual reason was because I saw Crouch as the bigger jury threat. So from the moment that Bailey was voted off, like Crouch was going to be the vote at Final Five, and that's because he was the biggest threat, and that's definitely true. Like everyone's confirmed that after the fact. The jury confirms that. You can even tell, like at Tribal Council, Crouch says something, and the jury is like nodding and like laughing. You know, somebody else says something, maybe their eyes are rolling. It's just like you can tell who the jury likes and doesn't like, and who they're rooting for. And it was obvious they're rooting for Crouch, so he was always going to be the vote. But we just saw like instead of just like telling everyone straight up, like, by the way, Crouch is going home. We were like, well, we can do something here. We can maybe make a deal, maybe kind of like make all the rest of the week was just formed around making Cooper trust me and think that I was against Leia, basically preparing for Final Four.
And none of it ended up working, but it was fun.
No, I mean, unless you think about how maybe some small mental part of Cooper
True.
subconsciously gave up earlier because he thought he'd be safe anyways when he wasn't. But the truth is, probably none of it mattered. It really was just other stuff with Bree. I think Bree really had more of an influence on what happened than any of that stuff did.
Okay.
So we got off on a tangent there, but we can get back to the listeners.
What was questions. There's two more from the audience, and then there's some from his mom.
Okay. Yeah.
Claire. Okay. What was the biggest lie you told to people about your trajectory in the season to leave your friends and family more in suspense? Or didn't everyone know?
I mean, my family knew I won. I told them right away. I was excited. Some friends didn't know. Some of them did, but I didn't really lie. If someone didn't know, I'd just be like, oh, like I'm not going to tell you. You should just watch it. So it's pretty easy. You don't necessarily have to lie and be like, oh, like make people think you don't do well. Just kind of like, I don't know. No spoilers. Watch it. You'll see.
Yeah. Like I kind of wish I didn't know, but I feel like there's no possible way that could have happened.
You were on production kind of.
Well, I know I was on production, but like I feel like even if I tried really hard, if I wasn't on production, I'm saying I feel like I would have somebody would have spoiled it for me.
You would have figured. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Spoilers are
even
real.
Just like accidentally. Like, like somebody being like, "Oh, Sam, wait, is this the season that you win?" I'm like, "What? No, God, yeah." Just I feel like just it's harder when you're just with people and stuff.
If you're on Survivor between people, it's like you gotta. It's basically like you're just gonna hear spoilers.
Yeah. Which is why I don't know how we do such a good job.
Not as trained as us on you had to do podcasts, and you'll know how to not get spoilers out. Don't let them slip. Train yourself.
Yeah.
I love this next question. Jack, do you want to ask it?
How often do you pull the winner card to annoy Jack and Sarah?
I enjoy it.
I enjoy it.
I don't think Sam has ever pulled out, honestly.
No.
You're too nice.
Yeah. Jack's usually the one that hypes him up.
Yeah. I feel like I would pull the winner card on you guys if I was the one that won.
But now
It's
you're
so
you're
nice
pulling
about
the worst survivor
Yeah, I'm
card.
pulling the loser card.
It's true. It's just like not even needed, you know. And also, like I said,
Yeah, it's not
you
needed.
guys-
We know.
It's
I know
not
my
needed.
place. I know my
Yeah,
place
you
is
know
the
that one.
worst. I'm
Don't
not
need to
trying
say
to
it.
eclipse you. I know you're the winner. You're like, I don't. It's not needed. You don't have to pull the
Not
card.
needed.
I mean, also, I was gonna say, I mean, like it also like balances it out that you two voted me off. So I feel like it, like in a way,
That's
it,
true.
like,
We
put
will
me
always
off,
have
but then
that.
I won. So it's like
Mhm.
okay.
It's
Yeah.
you know what? It's because we weren't on the season with you. If we were on the season with you and you had won, I think
Yeah,
it's slightly different.
That is true.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, if one of us won season 2, I feel like it would
Yeah.
change the dynamics. But we're all
That
kind of
changes it.
losers in that realm.
hmm
Mhm. Even though Sarah did vote both of us off.
Well, yeah. So I mean, and yeah.
But
very,
Valerie really
very,
got to
very
all of us
nearly.
at the end
Yeah,
of the
it
day.
really was Mallory though.
Mhm.
Mallory voted all 4 of us off.
True.
Yeah, you don't get to pull the winner card unless you're Mallory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, do we want to do the questions from your mom? I know we're going on like 1:30,
Sure.
but
You can I'll just give quick answers to them.
okay, this is like more of a lightning round now.
Yeah. Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. Okay.
Your mom wants to know, what did you talk about during the final competition? It was so cold, you didn't have enough jackets on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
I
were
know.
you talking about with Cooper and I guess Bree and Leia for a little bit?
I kind of mentioned it, but it was first it was like talking about like strategy, then it was talking about the deal, then it was a lot of silence and like Cooper saying prime numbers. I feel like at one point I was like, Cooper, tell me your life story. And he's like,
No. You know, I want to know Cooper's life story.
Yeah.
oh,
Maybe his podcast should be like a deep dive into his life story.
See,
if you want to hear his life story, it's not even enough to stand at a statue all night with him. He's
Mhm.
not going to hear about it now.
I feel like my strategy would have been to be like really annoying the whole time. Like just like start like I probably would have like, you know what I would have done, because it would both keep me entertained and be extremely annoying. I would think of like an album in my head and try to just sing the entire
Just sing
thing.
the whole
like literally like the
album.
50-minute long album. Just like think of do like I don't know, like in the airplane over the sea or something. Just be like, when you were young, you were the king of carrot flowers. And just like literally imagine that for 50 minutes.
That'd be bad.
That would have been entertaining though.
Yeah.
Like I would have been entertained.
Mhm.
That's the most indie heads answer you could have
I know.
given.
That's why I had to choose the indie heads answer.
That's great.
So yeah, I think you missed an opportunity to just be annoying.
You know,
You
I
missed
think
your opportunity to get scouted by some like music producers.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly.
Mhm.
That was your chance.
Did you ever have any singing confessionals? Was that just me?
I maybe have had like a few of them, but nothing as good as yours.
AJ had some.
Oh
True.
yeah, true. Actually, had some good ones.
It was more dancing, but yeah.
Oh, song and dance.
Yeah. Did you you didn't have any like random conversations like not about the game really during that?
Oh,
though?
no, we did. I just don't remember what they were.
Yeah,
We
fair.
had so many hours to talk. I'm sure we talked about a lot of stuff.
Did you watch the whole like 8-hour or whatever video thing when you were editing, or did you just mostly
I
skip
didn't do
around?
that. I actually did remember something we talked about though. This will probably be in the bonus teams one day. Is we did a what's it called when they like the rites of passage?
Oh
Mm.
yeah,
The rites of passage, and we talked about
Yeah.
every single player.
that's
And we
fun.
went like, like Akshay, blah, blah, blah. We all gave thoughts.
Yeah.
Tom,
Well, you did that during the challenge?
yeah, we did.
Oh.
did.
That's great. I hope that makes it.
Yeah.
I think it was just
I like-
it was just a long 10 minutes or so that just he
Yeah.
ended up coming out of the finale, understandably.
Mhm.
But one day probably we'll see him.
Gotta love the rites of passage.
Mm-hmm.
All right, these rapid fire questions aren't being so.
Not too rapid. All right.
Was there
Nothing rapid about
anything you wish you'd done differently?
Yeah, I just wish I'd handled my relationships with Megan and Andrew better. Those are people that I feel like, I just didn't. Andrew, I didn't get enough effort into reaching out and just getting to know him. Megan, I think that I was just too melodramatic in conversations. I think that if I had been more open, maybe we could have had a better alliance or worked together down the road. Maybe I could have got the jury votes, right?
Mm-hmm. Does it bug you at all that you didn't win unanimously? Like, does this keep you up at night?
No. I mean, I know that there's reasons I didn't. There's things I could have done better. So it would be different if like I felt like I really deserved to, but no, it's like there's everyone that didn't vote for me. I feel like it makes sense why they didn't.
So do you ever still think about like season 2, like what if scenarios, or is like winning just kind of like absolved your soul of that?
I feel like winning All Stars absolved the soul of that. I've not put one thought towards regretting anything from season 2.
I'm jealous.
Jack still lays away at night thinking about it.
And that is nice. That is the nice thing. I don't have regrets.
I feel like I don't, and then like whenever it's podcasting season again, is like it all comes back to me. Like I kind of like shut it out of my brain, and now we're all talking about it.
Yeah.
Okay, if you had not won, who in your opinion was the most deserving?
Leia for sure. Leia played an excellent game.
Who was least deserving?
Probably
Tom,
Akshay or Tom. Yeah, for people out.
What? You don't think if Akshay or Tom got to the end that they'd be deserving?
Well, that's
if Tom was in the end, he would win unanimously.
I mean, most deserving of the sequence of events that actually happened. He would have been one of them.
Okay. Next.
Who would you have voted for? I'm just going into all my tangents and all these rapid fire questions.
Go ahead. Yeah.
All right. No, you don't know how the jury speech goes or anything, but just first instinct, who are you voting for if it's Cooper, Bailey, Crouch, final 3?
Oh,
gut
Bailey.
Instinct. Good choice.
Bailey, I think.
Okay. Sarah, next question.
Who surprised you? But wait, no, it's you. It
is. All right. Sorry. Who surprised you by playing better than expected?
I already know what he's gonna say.
Yeah, Adam.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Who surprised you by playing worse than expected?
Probably Aaron and Paddock. I thought that both of them were going to last really long. They're both really good players. I wouldn't say they necessarily played bad. It's just it was surprised by them going out early because they're big players. They're really good at the game.
Do you have any biggest regret in the game?
I think that I answered that one.
Maybe you did.
Yeah.
What was cut from confessionals that should have been included?
I don't have a whole lot of complaints. I think that the main...
As the storyboarder, you don't have much complaints.
The thing is, I didn't storyboard this one,
True.
so I really... Right. I give recommendations on here's some good things, but I think that the main one that I think the main kind of point or thing that I talked about a lot that wasn't really in the edit was, one kind of like... I guess there's two. One was that on Adam, I really respected his game, thought he was a really good player, and voted him out because I thought he was a threat. But that isn't really ever said in the edit, and as a result, people thought that I was lying when I said that to him at Final Tribal. I was like, no, it is definitely what I thought. It just wasn't in the edit. And the other one was about the Friends Alliance. I actually had I thought I reflected on that a lot and had a lot of conversations with Adam about this. And in those conversations, I kind of compared it and talked about it to the idea of privilege. I think I've talked about this in other podcasts of just I agree that people with more connections did have an advantage. But I also didn't agree with the notion that the entire game was influenced only by pre-existing relationships. So I felt there was a lot of nuance to it. And I was willing to discuss and talk about that nuance. But the way the edit makes it look is just more so the friends think that there's no effects, and the other people think that it's the only thing affecting it. And I think that I had a lot more conversations and talking in the game where I felt I could see both sides, and there was a lot more. I talked about the nuance, but the nuance isn't really shown as much.
Do you regret not making Ian not do the 2-part episode, the cliffhanger episode?
I think that Ian made great decisions, and he knew what he was doing. He told me something about how, as much as people complained about the 2-parter, that it was something episode 6 or episode 7 was the most viewed episode in the whole season, or had the most. So I was okay, he clearly knows what he's doing. Controversy can draw eyes sometimes.
Yeah.
Any press is good press.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Whose turn is it?
What
can go.
Survivor player do you most identify with? Talking
Definitely.
like CBS Survivor.
Yeah, Tony. Definitely Tony. I mean, he played a game where he had fun. He played hard. He made a lot of moves, a lot of decisions, and he was chaotic. But he still won. And it's like, a winner doesn't have to be someone, winners can look different. A winner doesn't have to be someone that plays a very slow and steady and very kind of calm and controlled game. I like the idea of playing a fun and chaotic game that could still be a winning game. And, that's where I tried to model my game.
Makes sense.
Who had the best social game?
I would say that Bree had the best social game. Everyone loved Bree. And, it wasn't due to her social game that she lost. I mean, if anything, people really wanted to give her the win because of how good she was socially.
What would you have done? Sorry, now I'm just coming up with new questions. I just feel like we could have this be like a 3-hour episode.
It could just be forever.
Guys, I've been standing this whole time. I'm proud of myself.
Oh, nice.
My
No
feet
standing
kinda
hours.
hurt. Like I've stood for 1/10 of the time that you had to, basically.
You can keep going. Go on one leg after 7 hours.
All right. I just have a real quick question. So, all right, what if final four tribal council, you just vote out Cooper. It's like emotional and everything. You're like, oh my God, we're final three, we made it. And then Brady says, all right, very soon we will have the final tribal council, but not yet. We are now going to go to the next challenge.
Oh shit!
It's a final
Final two.
Yeah.
Not a final two.
You think they would ever do that, like an all-star season, like lie about the final three, and then it's a final two instead?
That'd be funny.
Oh, that'd be insane.
Would
What would you have done? So let's say hypothetically,
in this scenario, we'll heave. So in this scenario, basically, they've acted as if it's going to be a final three, but after tribals, and we know it's a final two.
Yeah, it's a very quick tribal challenge and then tribal council. It's like, it's like the questions game. It's like it's like the classic tiebreaker. So it's like super fast.
Yeah.
And let's just say hypothetically you win immunity.
Okay. Yeah, I bring Leia to the end.
Do you bring Leia no matter what?
Yeah. Me and Leia had a final two. We were going to.
Even though it would be just a easy slam dunk. No offense to Brie, I love you, Brie, but.
Yeah. What the heck? What about playing to win?
I wouldn't. I was still playing to win. I mean, I would say if this is the final two I won the challenge. Me and Leia had a final two. That's why I brought her to the end. And I think that also if I voted off Leia at that point, there's no way she would trash me so hard in the jury. I would be destroyed.
That's true. I'd be scared.
But I feel like that could almost have the opposite effect where people could just be really annoyed by Leia and want to vote for you even more.
And maybe
do you really think Leia's gonna convince, I don't know, Bailey? I don't know.
Strategically, it would be probably smarter to vote Leia out and go to the end with Brie, but I would have voted off Brie and went with Leia. And I think that's valid. I think I still could have won. Probably still would have won.
Yeah. They should have done that. So was it always clear that it was final three?
Yeah. Well, I think at a certain point, I think Brady, the place on which we knew for sure was when they said something like, oh, the next challenge is going to take a long time. Or oh, endurance. It still could have been final two. But after I won immunity, like Brady said, you've won, you're in the final three. You will be able to plead your case to the jury, whatever. So when he said that, it's okay, it's final three. Did
you, I guess, in the lead up to it, did you always assume a final three?
We assumed so, but there was contingencies in case it wasn't. Me and Leia still had a final two, in case it was a final two. And so those are the back of our mind. Leia had made a final two with Brie as well, but was I think me and Brie also had a final two. I think within our final three, all of us had final twos with each other, but me and Leia were going to be each other's final two, the real one.
And if Brie wins immunity, does she bring Leia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Well, yeah, probably. I mean, in that case, if she has to choose, she might think that she has a better chance against me, which I think is true, actually. I think if she votes off Leia, she probably has a better chance to win. So I definitely would have pitched that, and maybe she does. Because the reason she did all the stuff she did is because she thought she had no chance to win. But in a scenario where she can still vote off Leia and go with me, then maybe things are different. I think I could see her voting Leia out in that case, but I don't know. I honestly just don't know. That's something to ask her. We should ask that to Bree.
You should. Let's make a note of that.
Before we close it out, I wrote some words I wanted to read out. Like give some final thoughts on like my game in All-Stars. If you don't mind, I'll just read it out for you guys.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
This is your winner speech.
Winner speech, exactly.
Yeah. Usually you get the jury speech, and you don't really get a time to do a winner speech. So
right.
Exactly. You gotta get one after the fact, right? So here's what I have. I want to share some final reflections from my experience at Survivor Michigan. I wrote them out to communicate my thoughts as clearly as possible. So to begin, I have some thank yous. To Jack and Sarah, I'm glad that Sarah suggested that we start this podcast over 4 years ago. I treasure every memory of our silly inside jokes and insider info. This podcast has kept us connected over the years, and for that, I am grateful. To Ian, you poured your heart and soul into Survivor Michigan. Rather than copying CBS Survivor or other college survivors on YouTube, you made something new. It's rare to find an artist with the talent and bravery to create something unapologetically unique. It's even more rare to find someone who's willing to sacrifice years of their free time to make it a reality. I'm so proud of what you accomplished. The curtain call at the end of the All-Stars finale was the most profoundly moving piece of media I've ever personally seen. To the Survivor Michigan community, you've evolved from strangers to competitors to production teammates to friends and to family. To the fans, you all contributed to the family as well. Whether you've seen one episode or you're a super fan, whether you've loved every season or you're a hater, the engagement has made all of the hard work worth it. And to my parents, thank you for supporting me and for watching the seasons. I owe you credit for inspiring me to live my life with excellence and honor God in all that I do. And I wrote a little reflection here that I'll just read off. My parents are day one Survivor fans who watch live since season 1, episode 1. Growing up, I was intrigued by the show that my parents watched religiously on Thursday nights. I was ecstatic in 6th grade when they finally let me stay up late on a school night and watch my first ever season of Survivor, which is Gabon, season 17. Really good if you haven't seen it. Go ahead and watch that one.
Sorry, real quick. That was also my first season. I remember us talking.
Really?
I think we talked about that like in one of our first meetings. That was literally both of our first seasons. I'm so sorry for interrupting the speech.
No, that's fine. That's
forgot
great.
about that till right now.
Also, Maggie's been to Gabon, and wasn't our season kind of compared to Gabon a little bit?
Yeah.
A lot of Gabon. Yeah.
It's a lot of Gabon stuff.
Okay, sorry.
No, they're all good. So I instantly fell in love with the show and dreamt of competing one day. I came from a family of athletes and scholars. My mother's father was a college professor. My father's father played baseball for the Baltimore Orioles. So from an early age, I was taught to live my life with excellence. It was often referred to through sports cliches, such as to work hard, never give up, and winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. As a kid, I was shy and soft-spoken. I was often overlooked by my peers. I was more interested in art class than gym class, and I felt like I could never become a star college athlete like my father and my cousins. As I rode home from school on the bus, I would gaze out the window and fantasize about competing on Survivor. I visualized myself forming alliances, winning immunities, and shocking everyone as I won the title of sole survivor. Years later, I flipped on my television and watched myself compete on Survivor Michigan All-Stars. It was jarring to watch the 2019 version of myself frozen in time, and it felt almost like I was watching a completely different person. Although I've changed since then, some things remain the same. I experienced many emotions while playing the game. It was an emotional roller coaster still today, watching it back. I cringe as I watch myself play the villain with all the patronizing insults. I regretted the melodrama in my conversations with Megan and some others. However, I also extended grace to this past version of myself who was trying his best to have fun while being authentic about his emotions. I empathized with Megan Jackson, Sarah, and others who felt excluded and hopeless. In an all-star season, the players do not start on an even playing field. Many factors can influence gameplay, including reputation, placement in prior seasons, perceived threat level, number of social connections, and a myriad of other things. I truly believe that all 21 people had a chance to win the game, and that every person ultimately lost due to their own decisions in the game. But some people had less room for error than others. Ultimately, the resounding emotion I feel is pride. I feel this pride because of contrary to what one would expect, the pride is not rooted in my victory as a sole survivor. I feel this pride because of the personal growth I experienced during the season and afterwards. For much of my life, I'd internalized the message that I can't do it. This phrase repeated in my mind while I stood at the statue with Cooper. The frigid hours of the night turned to morning. Soon we were standing on one leg. The pain set in quickly, and for almost 2 hours, the words, "I can't do it," reverberated through my head. I can't do it. I can't do it. I gotta quit. I can't do it. And for the first time, I fought back. I told myself that I could do it. And I was beyond shocked when Cooper stepped off the statue and Brady announced that I was the winner of the challenge. I stayed in shock as I was announced as the winner of the season. And I still feel in shock even now after watching it live. I blasted through my own mental barrier and realized I was my own worst enemy. I internalized the Bible verse, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Regardless of religious belief, I truly believe all people can benefit through the wisdom of the verse. There's a lot of power in verbalizing positive things for our lives rather than just saying, "I can't do it." I did not become a professional baseball player like my grandfather or a college professor, nor did I win $1 million on CBS Survivor, at least not yet. We all traverse our own paths in life, and we're all the authors of our own stories. Survivor Michigan taught me that I should never again limit my own potential, and that's truly what I take away from all of this. Survivor Michigan is not ending. Future seasons will air, and I promise you that some of the best characters are yet to come. Some of the best stories are yet to be told. I'm excited to watch them along with you. Thank you for the support.
What a great speech.
Hold on.
Thank you.
Always
you.
eloquent.
Thank you, Sam. That
was great.
Are really great words. It's amazing just the power of that positive thinking, you know. It can sound kind of cheesy, but like it really does make such a huge difference. So I'm not saying that you sounded cheesy. I'm just saying that, you know.
Yeah, no, I
know,
mean, I agree. It's like, I hate repeating the cliches, but
yeah,
I really do believe that. Like, it's whether you're religious or whether you're someone who believes in astrology and like manifesting, whatever form of it is your thing, like saying positive things about yourself and like, I can do this, and truly visualizing and believing it is just so much, like, to me, that's what I took away from all of this, right? Like, I can't putting those mental limits on. So, and that's why I say, like, yeah, I'm happy that I won. I'm glad that I won. I'm proud of that. But like, that isn't ultimately like the main thing I think about. Like when I was running my marathon and feeling again in one of those pits of like, I can't do this. This is so painful. I just like, my mind went literally back to like the statue. And I was like, no, like I had my leg up in the air and I did it. Like I was able to stay and do it. And I was like, I can do this now. Like I've done it before. Like I know I can. And it's just like telling myself that I could do it is what's helped me do those things. And so I do think it had a very big impact on like really how I've lived my life since then. And it's changed me forever. And for that, I'm grateful. Even if I would have lost, I would still have that with me. So that's why like that's ultimately what's most important.
You're a true survivor.
Thanks, my dude.
Wow. Well, I mean, I think this is our last season that we're recapping of Survivor Michigan, like of us three.
We still have some more episodes coming, so
yeah, we have some more.
It feels like it's a goodbye, but not quite yet.
Yeah,
it's a goodbye to my story and Survivor Michigan, and yeah, it's not the goodbye for the three of us, you know.
Yeah,
There's some more stuff coming out.
And even then, I feel like we'll make some. We'll have some few random episodes here and there, hopefully. But
I agree. I think you'll see us again.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's been amazing watching you throughout the season and watching it from afar as it was happening. I remember just so many times texting Sarah like, "Oh my God, he's okay. He's actually done
He's
now."
dead.
I mean, I'm sure that's everybody was saying. Like he's
Yeah.
actually dead now, and like even and like going into the jury, like hearing the reports that it seems like the jury's pretty pro Leia. Like, but I think by that point I was kind of like, you know what, Sam's going to turn it around. He's going to win this thing. By then, I think I had gained the faith in you. Even when I feel like some of the other producers are like, it seems like Leia has it in the bag. And like, have you not seen Sam Morris this season? So
I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, yeah, it's been a hell of a season. And yeah, just that final challenge is probably the apex of like all Survivor Michigan. Just so well done. I can only imagine how much it's changed your life and everything. And yeah, it's been so fun.
Yeah, it was really meaningful. The whole thing has been, and yeah, glad to have shared it with collective you watching, and especially you two.
Sam Morris, the All-Star winner. Thanks for walking us through everything, Sam. This has been great. Definitely one of the best episodes ever. I've been waiting for this for so long. So
Yes.
Thanks for talking.
Great.
Appreciate the interview. I'm happy to be a guest on the great podcast interviewed by my favorite people.
Bye.
Bye.